Happy Wednesday, everybody. We're back with Deep Recruiting. Today, we're going to talk about getting caught up in candidate anger and how do you manage that and what makes candidates angry at us. Let's actually take a step back. What is actually the root cause of when a candidate gets angry with you as the recruiter, you as the agency, whatever it is? Obviously, the primary thing is when things simply don't go their way. They think they're in control of a particular situation. They're not. Maybe their ego isn't being fed properly. Maybe they're getting rejected. They don't understand why. And they're going to vent at you. Now, first, keep in mind that that is part of what you get paid for. You are a buffer between the candidate and the client. Your job is to take some of that heat sometimes. It's just what the job is, and you have a responsibility to, for lack of a better phrase, accept that. Now, you can minimize this. Well, okay, let's actually even take another route at this. When it happens, the best thing you can do is simply to remain calm. You don't want to meet their anger with your anger. Don't meet fury with fury. You want to remain calm. The best thing in the world you can do when they're rah, 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 at you is simply to listen to what they're saying. Don't interrupt them, because any interruption you make is going to cause more chaos. Number two, you don't want to apologize. You don't want to say, I'm sorry, or I'm sorry that happened, or this is really terrible. You do not want to validate what their complaint is. Instead of validating the complaint, I want you to ask them, as I understand it, what you're telling me is X, Y, and Z. Do I understand you correctly? You're going to get one of two responses. The first one's going to be, rah, 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 rah. They're going to continue. When they do that, you simply repeat the cycle. If they're upset, you listen to them, you take your notes, make sure you understand what they're saying, then you confirm when it's done, hey, Bob, I want to make sure I understand what you're telling me. X, Y, and Z, do I understand you correctly? Whether it happens on the first one, the fifth one, or even the 10th one, eventually you're going to get to yes. When they say yes, that's going to help them a lot. It's going to help calm them down. It's going to take a lot of the tension out of the situation. That puts you in a position then to actually address what their concern is. If you interrupt them during this process, if you don't listen to them fully during this process, if you try to address this before they agree that you understand what they're angry about, you're only adding fuel to the fire. So first of all, let's not do that. The best thing you can do is just let them get it out. When people are angry, the number one thing they need from you is to be heard and understood. And you have a responsibility to give that to them. They've given up part of their life for you. You need to give up part of what you do for them. Okay? But this is unavoidable. It's going to happen. But we want to minimize the frequency of this happening as much as possible up front. And the way you do that is by managing or setting their expectations up front. So you should have an idea of what happens in each interview. You should have an interview or an idea of what happens with your client, how they react to certain things. And the more you prepare your candidate for what to expect, the less likely they're going to run into a problem, the less likely they're going to take their frustrations out on you. Okay. I want to cover a particular example that kind of taught me a lot of this. My client required a bachelor's degree, non-negotiable. The candidate had to have a bachelor's degree. Somebody would call me about the job who didn't have a bachelor's degree, and when they find out that they have to have it, they get mad. They get angry. They start yelling at me. What difference does a bachelor's degree make? It shouldn't make any difference at all. You know what? It doesn't make any difference whether it actually is a differentiator as far as the candidate's qualifications. The client requires it. If the client requires it, that's what we have to give them. So when something like this happens, I would simply say, I understand. There's really nothing I can do about it. These are the expectations they have. Let's see if we can find a different opportunity. Let's say they stick with it. Let's say they just keep pounding on you about this degree business and how ridiculous it is and blah, blah, blah. Eventually, you may have to move them to the point where you simply say, look, here's the deal. I'm employed by this company to find somebody with a bachelor's degree. Now, I can present you. I can present your qualifications, and I can tell them what a great guy you are, and I can point out all the reasons they should consider you, even though you don't have a degree. But they require a degree. And there's nothing I can do or say that is going to sprinkle any magic fairy dust on this that's going to get you the job or even get you an interview. In fact, what it's actually going to do is it's going to make me unemployed, because they're going to say, this recruiter doesn't listen to what I want. We're not working with that guy anymore. Get rid of him. How does that benefit the candidate? How does that benefit me? And I'll ask them that on the phone. You're actually asking me to become unemployed. You're asking me to violate what my client wants because you think it doesn't make a difference. They do think it makes a difference. And yes, you're using logic, but you're also using emotion. When you tell them, hey, you're asking me to be unemployed, you're asking me to no longer be employed by my client. Is that what you want? That creates an emotional resonance with your prospect that they're going to understand, they're going to back off, and it's probably going to become a non-issue for you. Your goal when the candidate is mad is to get them to a point where they feel like you're taking good care of them, you're doing the best for them possible. In that degree situation, you got to let them know. Let's see if we can redirect this towards a company where this isn't a hard and fast requirement or even a thought, because that's going to be a better match for you. They're going to be much more on board with what you're looking for. And doesn't that make sense? They're going to have to agree with you. And that ends the conversation, at least that part of the conversation, on a positive note. So what are the rules? The rules are listen, don't interrupt, feed it back to them without apologizing. And then when they agree that you understand it, that enables you to provide a solution. When they refuse to do that, you're going to have to put logic into it, and you're going to have to give it some emotional resonance. You're going to have to let them know something like, hey, you're asking me to be unemployed. That's what you're asking me to do. And that's not very fair, is it? And how does that, let me ask you this, how does it benefit you if they fire me over doing something like this? That emotional resonance makes the difference. How do we prevent them from ever getting mad? We prevent them from getting mad by setting expectations up front, helping them understand what's actually going to happen, and following through. Absolutely critical. You must follow through on your commitments and your promises. Now, that follow through might be a phone call that says, hey, I got nothing for you. Sorry. That phone call might be something as simple as, hey, we don't think we're going to be able to help you. You need to find an agency that's better suited to your background. Whatever it is, you've got to follow up. People respect that follow up. They respect it when you act with honesty, when you act with integrity, and they are going to treat you well when you do something like that. There's always going to be an aberration. There's always going to be a miscreant out there that's not going to treat you professionally. It happens. It's the business you're in. It's part of why we get paid what we get paid. So deal with it, okay? But do work to minimize it by setting those expectations, building trust, building rapport, doing follow-up, and making sure you're listening. This has been Deep Recruiting. I hope I'm bringing you value every single week. Just a short little snippet, something you can attach to, hopefully something you can apply every week, get a little bit better at what you're doing, get a little bit more successful, make a little bit more money. If you've got a topic you'd like us to recover, email us, deeprecruiting@teamgtn.com. The email address is in the description below. We need your comments. We need your likes. More than anything else, we need those comments, because that's how we're going to build this and grow this so that we can actually lift all of the recruiters up so that everybody's doing a better job and we can improve our reputation out there in the marketplace. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope you got something out of it. Hope you're having a great week and about to make a sale. Appreciate you. See you next week and have a great day. Take care.